Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video, and today we'll be taking a look at this. This was my first Xbox, and in particular it was an Xbox 360. If you watched the first video on this channel, I'm guessing from nearly 4 years ago now, that video featured this console. The video was called "This Was My First Xbox" or something like that, and today we are going to revisit that topic and take a look yet again at my first Xbox. And I have actually got the original box for this. As you can see in their previous video, I did not show the box, but I found the box, and the console has been in this box for about 2 years just sitting. So today we're going to take it out and have a look at it, and hopefully it will still work. This one being a 2009, I believe it is after the Red Ring of Death issue was fixed, so hopefully this thing should still boot up with no problem. So let's take a quick look around the box, then we will open it and hopefully turn this thing on. So looking on the side of this box, you can see everything which would have originally come in here. We would have got the console, a hard drive, a controller. Also comes with the ability to do Xbox Live. It would have come with the headset, Ethernet cable and AV cable. Not all of that is currently in here, just the console and a few other things. All my controllers are downstairs. The hard drive should be in there if I remember correctly. The headset isn't. The Ethernet cable is actually the Ethernet cable I use on my main setup still, and the AV cable I never got with this thing. So before I continue looking around the box, I will just familiarise you with how I got this console, for if you have not seen the original video. So I got this from my cousin's father in 2013 when he bought an Xbox One. So he wanted to get rid of his 360, so I got it for £100. So it's pretty cool that I have known the whereabouts of this console for all of its life, and really it's not been used that much. He wouldn't have used it that much in the 4 years he had it, and I haven't really used it that much in the nearly 8-9 years which I've had this thing. So that is pretty cool to know that it has been looked after and not used too much. So if we look at some of the games featured on here, this really does start to age the device. Dead or Alive 4, Call of Duty 2, and I'm sure you can see some of the others there as well. We can actually see some of the console features on here. So 512 megabytes of unified system memory, custom symmetrical 3-core CPU, custom ATI 500 MHz graphics cards, and HD gaming with minimum 720p output. In terms of connectivity, we can have 4 wireless game controllers. There are 3 USB 2.0 ports, 2 memory unit slots and an Ethernet port. If we go down to digital entertainment, progressive scan DVD playback, media streaming from portable music players and digital cameras, and stream your digital music, photos and more from your Windows XP Media Center Edition PC. So that really does show the age of this thing. So I've just had a thought. This box with it saying XP and up here FIFA 06, and further down there it mentions 2006 as well. Is this the original box? Because this console is definitely one which was made in 2009. So is this the wrong box? But I don't really understand why that would be. I don't know why it would have an older box. This thing was definitely bought new box, and as far as I'm aware, this would have been the box which came with it. It's the box I was given. So that is actually a little bit confusing. But let's just go along with this being the original box. If anyone knows if the 2009 consoles had a different box, let me know. That is actually kind of confusing. So on the other side of the box, it's showing you that you can buy different face plates. You can get a wireless adapter, and also you can get a plain charge kit for your controller, and also a wireless LAN adapter if you so wish. There's also some more information down there, but none of it's really that important. And if I spin the box around, we are back to the front with that rather pretty design. Alright, it's now time to open this box. It's not like I don't know what's in here, I put everything in here, this is my console after all. But let's just open it up anyway, just for dramatic effect. As I've already said, not everything is in here, but most of it isn't. The first thing I can see is the hard drive, as you can see, HDD. I don't actually remember what the capacity of this is, but once we boot up the console, I'm sure we can check that out. Next up is the massive power supply. These things were always known for having such a massive brick of a power supply. It's great that now they are internal because this thing is massive and they do make quite a lot of heat. Here is one part of it, the other part which plugs into the wall is also in here. Yeah, there that is. I'll put those off to the side because we will need those in a little bit. The next thing I can see is this. Congratulations on owning the most exciting product on the planet. Act now to protect your investment in the amazing Xbox 360. So what is this? Okay, so it wants you to pay for some sort of extended warranty or something like that. You have to fill that in, and they also tell you where to send it to. I wonder if there is still something at that address which Xbox has anything to do with. That would be quite cool to try and find that out. Next, this is a little document about Kinect. Kinect did not come with this Xbox. I do have Kinect, but that is not what we are looking at today. That's in its own box, and this really should be in that box. I'll have to put that in there the next time I see that box. The next thing that is in here is some sort of receipt for something. Let's look what this is. So this is a receipt from Currys, and it looks like this receipt is for a Microsoft Advance AV cable, and that came to £18, which is actually quite expensive, but a gift voucher was used, so they only ended up paying £7.99. This is from the Trafford Centre Currys. That's actually pretty cool. I'm guessing the original owner must have gone to Currys at some point and bought an AV cable, even though this thing would have come with one, so that's kind of strange. And the date on this is 06, the 21st of the 6th, 06. That's not 2009. So maybe this was for a different console, maybe this would have still been for their original Xbox. This is a 2009 console, I can assure you. That's what the sticker says, but this box and this receipt say otherwise. So was there another 360 and they got mixed up in the wrong box? I'm sure there was only ever one which this person had. Maybe that broke and they replaced it with this one and I just didn't realise, and they put it back in this box. I'm honestly not too sure. I'll have to try and find out at some point, but that doesn't stop us looking at everything else that is in here. So we've got another piece of paper in here. This is sort of simulating the Blades dashboard. This just tells you how to set it up, and this setup thing is showing a console which does not have HDMI. This console's got HDMI. I'm starting to think that this is the wrong console for this box. I'm actually quite confused because I've always been adamant that this is the console for this box, but now I'm starting to look at it. I'm not too sure that it is. Next is another piece of documentation also with the Blades dashboard. The Blades dashboard would not have been a thing in 2009 when this console came about, so this is definitely an older thing. This is actually showing the exact same thing, and it's also talking about Xbox Live there as well. Not really sure why there is two of those. Next is another Xbox Live related thing, 1 month for free. I'm guessing that offer has now expired. It's in lots of different languages. We won't be needing that. Here is an advertisement telling you to subscribe to Xbox magazine, I think. I wonder what year is on this. I'm not too sure. It says that the offer ends in 28 days, but it doesn't say when the 28 days started. I don't think this would have come with this. This might have come with something else. I don't know. I am actually getting quite confused with all this. I thought it was quite straightforward, but apparently not. Another bit of documentation here, don't really know what that's about. Then here is the instructions for the AV cable. I'm guessing that's one which was bought at Currys, although I don't actually know. Little plastic thing, I'm guessing something was in there at some point. Everything isn't as it was, but I've got enough things in here. Here is the warranty information, Xbox 360. It's in lots of different languages and I don't really care about that. And the final bit of documentation is this. This is the setup manual. The pages have sort of got bent, but that is incredibly thick. You definitely don't get anything like that these days. So it goes through how to set everything up in a lot of different languages. It's good that this sort of thing is included just to make sure you know what you're doing, but I know what I'm doing, so I won't need to look at that today. Next up is the original white faceplate. It's sort of gone yellow and it's a bit dirty. This isn't on the console because at the minute a silver one is on it. The silver faceplate is off a £7 Xbox I got from Cash Generator. Unfortunately that Xbox is no longer with us, but its faceplate lives on this particular machine, so we can now take out the machine and here it is, the confusing Xbox, which is from 2009, but everything else would say otherwise. Just so you know I'm not going crazy, look at that. Manufacture date 2009, the 1st of the 4th or the 4th of the 1st, depending on which way round they put the date, but you can clearly see that says 2009, so no, I've not gone completely mental, but I think this might be just a couple of months before they changed the motherboards in these from being somewhat immune to the red rings. So we might have that risk with this console, and since it's not been on for so long, maybe it won't turn on, but guess we'll just have to see. Alright, before we turn this thing on and confirm whether it is still living or not, let's put the hard drive in. There we go, hard drive is now installed, so let's just take a quick look around. Of course, this is one of the original design ones, it's not a Slim or an E. Of course, optical drive is a shiny one, it's not one of the early core ones which had a white plastic drive. IR there, 2 memory card slots. I've never had a memory card for one of these, I've always just saved to the hard drive. Controller pairing button, power button, then 2 USBs at the bottom. As always, the flap has lost its spring, so it's kind of all floppy. Turning it around, it just says Xbox on the side. It's kind of a bit scratched, but nothing too bad. On the back is where the ports are. Power at the bottom, HDMI, AV, Ethernet and USB. Of course, because it has HDMI, it is not one of the early ones, unlike the documentation implies. The documentation only shows AV. This thing definitely has HDMI and it's definitely a 2009 as I've shown up there. Other side is kind of scuffed also, but again, not too bad. So let's plug this thing in now. I want to see if it still works. Alright, now is the time. I've put my monitor on the correct input. The Xbox is over there. I've not got a controller yet, but there's no point getting a controller until I know that this thing still works. So I'm going to turn on the power. That also turns my filming light on. There is an orange light on the power supply. And let's now press the power button. There we go. This thing is actually booting. Okay, I've now got out a 360 controller. It's kind of dusty, but it will do. And as you can see, there are quite a lot of accounts on here. Some of these are mine, but some aren't. I will go into the one with the highest amount of points. And your console can't connect to Xbox Live. That's because I don't have an internet connection right now. I don't want to connect to the internet, and there we go. We are now on the home screen. Let's see if the drive opens. There we go. You can't see it, but it did just open. That is still nice and smooth. Let's go over to System, into console settings. It's currently outputting at 1080p. This is a 4K monitor, that's why it doesn't look very good, but that is fine. Down on system info, we can see that this is running dashboard 2.0.16573.0. I'll put up on screen when that version is from. If we go down to storage, we can see the hard drive is being detected, and it looks like it's not a very big one. It's got 4.2 gigabytes free. How can we see how big this thing is. Capacity 13.9 gigabytes, so about a 15 gigabyte hard drive I would say, but that is big enough for a 360. Most games don't require an install, so that is plenty. Let's actually see if there is any games saved on here. I can't remember if there is. Let's just take a look through here, and if there is any that I like the look of, I'll just see. Let's try Worms. Will Worms work on here? It looks like Worms is working. I must say there is no sound because there are no speakers connected at the minute, so that is that. Let's go to single player. I've got no clue what this is. I can't remember if I've tried this before. I definitely didn't put this game on here. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but it seems to be working, I guess. I don't know what I meant to do, but it seems to work, so let's just now quit out of that. Now let's make sure that the optical drive can still read discs, it can still open, so let's try putting a disc in here. The first disc I could find is Forza Motorsport 2. So let's try this. I believe this game came out somewhere around the launch of the 360. So let's put that disc in, shut the drive. Hopefully it should load up. I can hear it is ramping up, and yet looks like this thing is going to load up. As you can hear, that is very, very loud. That is a loud optical drive. I'm not sure whether that is normal or not. So let's go into this. It looks like it is loading up just fine. I am going to start a game just to make sure that this thing doesn't crash, because I have seen that happen before. So let's just start in any car. Let's go with the Audi S4. Yep, that is all fine. I am familiar with the controls for this game. They've never really changed. Of course, this is an old console with an old drive, so that did take a while to load, but let's just see. I'm nearly in control. Let's just wait. And there we go. I am now controlling this. I can change the view just fine. This thing seems to be working, and considering this is on a 4K monitor, it really shouldn't look very good, but the graphics actually still look pretty good. My car probably doesn't look good now that I've just crashed it, but oh well, I'm just driving by myself. There's no one else on the track, so it's not really a race, but this thing does look to be working just as it should. I'll just have a quick feel of the console. It doesn't seem to have got particularly hot yet. Of course, if I stay on this for a long time, it probably would heat up. This thing has never been opened, so it probably is quite dusty, but the amount of effort it takes to open one of these, I don't think I am going to do that anytime soon, unless I really have to. But yeah, looks like this thing is working just fine. Doesn't look like we're dropping any frames either. I'm actually very happy with this. I'm surprised that it is still working. It is working quite well. I don't actually think I've really played this game much. I bought it and then didn't really do anything with it. I used to do that a few years ago. I would just buy random games and never play them. So it's actually good that I am getting to play this, and I really do need to start playing some more games again. I really don't use my consoles enough, so that's something I do need to start doing, hopefully soon. But yeah, I think that is where we'll leave that. Let's finish that race. The race wasn't a successful race, but the console did work, so I'm actually very happy with this. So there we are. I think that is where we're going to leave it for today. I'm glad I could get this thing out of its box and give it a little bit of a run. I'm very happy that it is still working, because I was a little bit worried exactly why the box and the console don't seem to match. I'm not exactly sure. I will have to try and inquire about that at some point. It's not a big deal. I would just kind of like to know why the console appears to be 3 years newer than the box anyway. That doesn't really matter, but it would be good to know. So hopefully you enjoyed this. It was just really the same video that I made 4 years ago, but maybe a little bit more in depth, and I really just made this as an excuse to get this thing out again. So I'm glad that that is now done. If you would like to see more content on this in the future, please suggest what you would like to see, and if you would want to see more about my other consoles, I will happily do that too. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was interesting in some way. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.